Hey guys, welcome to No Filters, Just Freedom, the show for people who are ready to stop shrinking, start rising, and live with unapologetic audacity. My name is Jasmine, I'm a life coach, and I'm here to guide us all through this journey of bold, authentic living.
Welcome back to No Filters, guys, the show where we cut off the fluff and get real about building a life you actually want to live. Today, we're tackling something that feels like a superpower these days: maintaining personal peace. This isn't about achieving a Zen-like state where nothing bothers you. That's a complete fantasy. This is about building an unshakable inner calm that you can return to no matter what chaos the world throws at you. Our brains like to say things like, I should be further along in my career by now, or I should want to go to that party instead of wanting to stay at home, or I should be able to handle this without getting stressed, or my personal favorite, I should just let that moment go. We have to declare war on the word should. This isn't just talking about finding peace. We're talking about uncovering the freedom you already have by stopping the one thing that kills so fast: taking on emotions and obligations that were never yours to carry. This is about emotional boundaries. This is about the freedom that comes from not being jerked around by every external event, and you can't be free if you're constantly managing everyone else's expectations, disappointments, and moods. Real peace is the radical act of returning to yourself. So the first thing we have to do in order to have this peace is to be honest about the reality that peace isn't stolen by outside events first. It's eroded by our internal responses first. We can voluntarily hand over our peace in three specific ways. First, you have the tyranny of the should. Like I was talking about, I should do this and I should do that. Shoulds often originate from family, society, and or social media influences, okay? It's that whole thing of nature versus nurture, okay? It's a combination of both. It's not versus, it's nature and nurture, okay? We get ideas of what life should be like, good and bad, from our families as we grow. We are shaped by our friends at school of what we may agree or disagree with, or the group we want to be around or the group we don't want to be around. And then sometimes life and culture just come at you. You know, what the generations now have to deal with when it comes to social media and Instagram and all of that computer pressure is not the kind of pressure that previous generations had to deal with before. And so this generation is often shaped by that media peer pressure that didn't exist before. Culture changes, life changes, and those things can affect your shoulds, your beliefs on what this should look like, okay? And it can be hard. It shows up in every area. I know for me, doing this podcast as an example and trying to have my own business, it's very much like I should have more followers, I should have more people listening, maybe I'm not doing the right thing and I should be changing it up so that more people interact with me on TikTok and Instagram. I mean, there are so many shoulds that I could find myself wrapped up in because you see these social media influencers and they clearly must be doing something right and I must be doing something wrong because they're going viral and da-da-da. It's a terrible spiral that you don't want to find yourself into, you know? And the truth is, who actually owns the should? Is it yours, or did you pick it up somewhere and forget to put it back down? Okay, who told me that I should have X amount of followers or be doing this kind of thing? Nobody said that. It's just a perception of what happens. And then, of course, you get all of those how-to videos, and this is what you're supposed to do because this is what worked for them. I picked it up, but I don't have to keep it. If it doesn't work for me, I can put it back down. That's something you have to overcome that your brain tries to tell you. Then, of course, you have to overcome emotional ownership. You know, taking responsibility for other people's feelings. You know, things like, now they're upset, so it's my job to fix it. No, it's not. Absolutely not. How they choose to respond to a situation and their outside circumstance has nothing to do with you. Okay, I'll say it again. How people choose to respond and interact with an outside circumstance has nothing to do with you and your circumstance. The same way how you choose to interact and how you choose to handle something has nothing to do with them. It's not your job to fix them. It's not your job to fix people. And you don't have to take responsibility emotionally for what they're going through. Now, maybe you can own something that you said in a way that could have been misconstrued as disrespectful or whatever else. That's different. You can take responsibility for what you produced, but you can't take responsibility for how they feel and what goes on after that. You can just say, hey, I need to be more kind. Hey, I need to be more loving. And that's only if you were invested and involved. If you weren't involved, if they're upset about something that had nothing to do with you, like if y'all were supposed to hang out and maybe you were 5 minutes late and they jumped down your neck for all kinds of things, that is not something you have to take on. You can simply apologize for being late because that was on you, and then you can let them know that they need to collect themselves. Okay? It doesn't have to be all that. It doesn't have to be so complex. You need to take responsibility for what you can take on. Okay? We need to stop confusing empathy with ownership. Okay? You can empathize and say, I understand and I recognize how this comes across. And that's where you take responsibility for the thing that you have to through the empathy, but you don't have to own their emotions. You don't have to take those emotions on. You don't have to make that personal. It doesn't have to be. It doesn't have to be that extra. It's something that you can simply, relate to and often validate, but not make it yours to hold. You are not the manager of anyone else's emotional experience. Their disappointment is their data to process, not your command to obey. Okay? It's their problem, not yours. It is not your job to come in and fix and heal. This is not a work environment and you are responsible for how they respond as if they're under you or your employees. That is not how life works. That is not how emotions work. And it is not your job. So stop making it. Last thing that we have to do in order to stop handing over our peace is stop feeling the need to be understood. This is a really, really difficult one. This is one that I personally struggle with because I'm a very communicative person and I'm a very straightforward kind of a black and white person. And not feeling understood is not just a pet peeve of mine, but sometimes it can come across as a real fear of mine, okay? You're constantly on this exhausting quest to explain and justify yourself to everyone who questions you. And a lot of that has my own internal trauma that there's no reason for me to go into here. This is why I have a therapist. The trauma of feeling like people judged me based on my choices or thought that I was either smart or stupid based on the choice that I made. And I constantly felt like I had to explain why I did it to prove that I'm not stupid, to prove that I'm not as impulsive as you think I am, to prove that I actually use my brain in so many other areas. And I'm not the only one who does this. I'm not the only one that feels the need to justify something. Your reasoning might be different than mine. But at the end of the day, we all feel like we have to explain who we are as people. And it's really, really unhealthy. Just because somebody questions you doesn't mean you have to explain or go into their belief or whatever. Same thing before. It's not your job. How they perceive and their emotions has nothing to do with you. Because the truth is, wanting to be understood is human. Needing to feel validated is a cage. Okay, we all want to feel validated. It's very helpful to be validated. I encourage people to validate others because that's not about you. That's a gift that can be given. That being said, you can't crave it and only operate if somebody validates you. Because now your self-worth is tied up in what they think and their expectations, and that is dangerous. You're still looking for that ownership. You're craving. You're saying, I didn't do it right if they don't agree with me. I didn't do it right if they don't give me a pat on the back. I didn't do it right. I have to fix myself. I have to, I. And all of these things get you in trouble. It's, again, more shoulds that are completely unnecessary because it is not the world's job to validate you. It is helpful, it is loving, it is encouraging, and I wish more people did it, but you cannot operate waiting around for validation, okay? Simply understanding yourself can be enough. Simply validating yourself, simply agreeing with yourself can be enough. I tell myself all the time to maintain encouragement. I'm doing the best I can. My podcast is okay, especially for the circumstances and having a kid and making it work and being a stay-at-home mom and a wife and, an author and all these other things. I'm doing the best I can with what I've been given, and it works. And one day it'll expand, and one day I'll do more, and one day things will be different. But until then, everything is just fine. I'm exactly where I need to be. I'm making the exact impact I need to make. And we're just going to leave it at that. And growth happens on its own time. Just don't give up. Understanding myself and validating myself is enough right now. And when we aren't giving away our peace, the world is constantly trying to take it away. That's why it's so important not to give it, because the world's trying to take it anyway. Whether it's the comparison trap, where they're like, look at what you're doing, but this person is doing something else. The same way I said, people are going viral and I'm not. What's that about? The illusion of control, the idea that I can just take on all of this and I can fix and control the situation. It's going to be okay. The world tells you that if you just handle what you're in, it's not true. Or major outside noise, okay? And that's social media and your friends and everybody telling you what they liked or disliked or how they appreciated or how they didn't appreciate it, and all these good comments and bad comments, and your family and everybody else. Outside noise is another way that the world tries to take your peace. So no matter which one it is, there are so many experiences that we face that are in opposition to our peace. And it's our job to face that opposition head on. It's important to understand that peace isn't passive. It's built and protected through deliberate daily practices, okay? I want to say it again. Peace is not passive. It doesn't just show up. You have to actively build it. So you got to start with the idea that if you didn't buy it, you don't have to keep it. Okay, if I didn't search for it, if I didn't actively try to have it, if I didn't purchase it, I do not need to carry it. Okay, you can tell yourself that incoming emotions and expectation aren't yours to hold. I don't have to take it. I don't. You can be upset. I don't have to take that upset. I don't. This is a definition of what people say this, in a kind of ethereal way, but this is the practical of being like, I don't have to take that. When you're yelling at somebody, you're yelling at me and I don't have to take that. I don't have to accept that. And accepting is more than just putting up with. Okay? The word, when we use to accept things, we think about how we accept a gift. Somebody hands something to us and we take it from them. That is acceptance as well. And you can take an emotion that somebody gives you. And you don't have to do that. That is what it means by not accepting that. I am not going to allow you to put that in my hand, put that in my universe. I choose not to accept it. I don't have to hold what you are bringing. So when criticism, guilt, or anxiety hit, you can literally say, this isn't mine to hold. You can literally say that. You don't have to take what people hand out. It's like food. You know what I'm saying? When you go out to eat, if you go to a buffet or anything like that, and they're like, here, do you want this? No, I'm good. I'm gonna skip that part. I don't have to take that. I can choose to take something else. Fish or chicken. What kind of fish it is? I don't have to take the fish. I can take something else. I don't have to hold space. It's the same concept. Just because somebody offers it and somebody brings it to the table doesn't mean you have to accept it. You just don't. It's a beautiful feeling once you realize that. You want to talk about peace and validation. When you get that lesson on, it is beautiful. Okay? It is possible to speak with empathy, but firmly. It is possible to say things like, this isn't mine to hold, lovingly and empathetically, because you recognize that they're bringing something to the table and their feelings are valid, without taking it on. You can deflect the shoulds with, I know that works for you, but it's not aligned with my priorities right now. I know that sounds like kind of filtered and created or whatever else, but I'm telling you, sometimes when you're calm and you give calm responses, they sound, filtered. They sound like, oh, there's no emotion in that. No, this is a boundary. And the beauty of boundaries is that they don't always have to come with the emotional context with it. You can just simply say, this is my boundary. Same way someone offers you food that you may not like, you simply say, no, thank you. You don't have to have a disgusting look on your face. You don't have to do anything else. You can just simply say, no, thank you. That's what that is, okay? I know that what you're offering works for you. Hey, I'm gonna just keep using me and social media and my job as an example. But like, hey, I know how you did this made you go viral. I know it worked for you, but that isn't aligned with my priorities right now. What you chose to do is not exactly on my priority list. So many people go viral doing the TikTok dances and the music and everything else. That's just not a priority for me right now. I don't have time to do that. I don't have the energy to do that. I'm too busy singing and dancing and doing songs with my 2-year-old. Okay? I'm singing Wheels on the Bus. I don't got time to do something viral right now. Okay? That's how that goes. So, I know that worked for you and I appreciate it. And I don't have to compare myself to that because it's just not on my priority list right now. And you can also stop justifying yourself by saying things like, I've made my decision based on what is right for me, but I appreciate your concern. Because people are always going to come with their crap. People are always going to be like, well, what about this and what about that? You know what? I appreciate your concern because clearly it sounds like you are invested in me. You want what's best for me, X, Y, and Z. You have a lot of feelings about what I'm doing. You're invested in me. That being said, I made the best decision on what was right for me. And the truth is, nobody can tell you what's right for you. They can't. I know people want to say that. I know things want to come across like that. Nobody can tell you what is best for you. And again, when you get that on, when you accept that truth, your peace starts showing up. The calm is right there at the surface, okay? The goal is to identify the things that consistently drain you and consciously minimize your exposure to them, okay? You don't have to put yourself in that position if you don't want to. It's not about drama, okay? We're not removing ourselves from drama. People say that all the time, like, oh, I don't have to put up with drama in my life. This has nothing to do with drama, okay? It's about data and defense. I see what's happening. I see the practical. I'm going to defend myself from what is actually happening. That's it. It had nothing to do with emotions. I see it, I remove it. So here are some practical systems for peace, practical ways that you can, see it and remove it. First thing, it's really important to remember that boundaries are freedom. I spend a lot of time talking about boundaries, no matter what episode it is, because they're such a big deal, okay? Boundaries are freedom. It is possible to set and communicate clear boundaries with work, friends, and family. I know that that's hard. I know that it's frustrating, especially with family, because there's so much connotation that goes along with it, but it is possible and it is really important, especially as an adult. There are a lot of things you don't always have the ability to do or the presence of mind to do as a child, but as you become an adult, you can lovingly and respectfully uphold a boundary. Hey, this is just not what I'm doing. Hey, this is just not how I'm handling this. I appreciate it, but no, this is a boundary. My husband and I have to use boundaries all the time as parents. People come in and try to say these things. No, this is not what I'm doing. Though I appreciate your concern. Okay? Saying no to something that drains you is saying yes to your peace. We don't often recognize that balance, but that's the truth. Saying no to something that is overwhelming means that you said yes and prioritized your peace over that. Think about it like that, and you can be really encouraged, okay? Because boundaries aren't selfish. It's about sustainability, okay? What can I do that doesn't destroy me? What can I do to make sure I'm the best version of myself all the time? Sometimes I have to say no to things because it's not what's best for me in being a parent and a wife. If you're gonna drain me and then I can't show up for my daughter, then the answer is no. Okay, I'm choosing my peace over the circumstance. And then sometimes you gotta have a system of creating a digital detox, okay? Turn off the non-essential notifications. You don't need a notification. This is specifically for me. I don't need a notification from ESPN. I don't. I like it. It makes me feel good to keep up with the sports that I can because I'm not normally watching it all the time, raising a kid, but I don't need it. It's not important. So turn it off so that it doesn't show up and beep at 7 a.m, Like I can turn that off. Schedule time for do not disturb mode. Oh my God, I love do not disturb mode. It fills my inner introvert, It really, really does. When you turn on that do not disturb mode, you know full well that unless they're on your like favorite contacts list, they can't get a hold of you. They can't call you. They can't talk to you. You don't get notifications from your text messages. It's beautiful. Turn on do not disturb at night. Maybe spend from like 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. Maybe it's dinner, whatever it is. Maybe you wake up in the morning and it's breakfast and you want to start your day in a specific way. Use do not disturb. It's what it was created for. Okay? This doesn't need to be something crazy. It can be something as simple as unfollowing accounts that trigger comparison. If you're following an account that's always going viral and always saying these things that you know you can't uphold, then get rid of it. All it's doing is making you feel like crap. Another practice you want to have is creating a non-negotiable daily practice, okay? I'm not talking about some 1 hour meditation, do it yoga, everything else if you don't have time for that. You can do something as simple as a 5-minute walk or 10 minutes of relaxation before you start the world and you don't turn your phone on, okay? Something daily that centers you, and then make it non-negotiable. Maybe you make your coffee or tea in silence, in absolute silence. I'm not going to speak. I'm going to have this moment to chill, to breathe, and do this. I mean, it's okay to have those moments. I try to have my own personal centered moments while my daughter's taking her nap, because it's halfway through the day and I might be completely overwhelmed by the morning, but I can center myself so that I have power for the afternoon, okay? And lastly, but certainly not least, you have to reframe things in your life. You have to reframe your mind. You could change the narrative from, oh my God, this thing is happening to me, to this is happening and here's how I can respond. All right, that's a big difference. I know it sounds like semantics and wording, but it's a huge, huge difference, because you're no longer a part of the situation. You are an outside bystander, okay? You happen to be involved and invested in the situation that is happening towards you, and I can decide how I want to interact with that thing versus the thing specifically attacking you. Everything isn't always attacking you, and that is a-okay. Sometimes you're just trying to maneuver, okay? It's coming towards you and I can respond how I see fit, okay? It's not happening to you, it's simply just happening, and you have the choice to respond. There is a real power in focusing on your circle of influence, okay? This is the illusion of control part. All right, there's only so much you can control. There's only so much in your personal bubble. And once you're in that personal bubble, once you figure out what that is, that's all you got. And that's all you can control, and you have to let everything else wash away. Okay? I cannot dictate what is happening, but I can dictate how I respond to it. That is what is in my control, and that is what I need to focus on. So again, boundaries aren't just what you say to others, they're what you practice with yourself. So before you check your phone, check your energy, okay? Set the tone for yourself before the day does and before the world does. And then reclaim your attention throughout the day. Your attention is the most valuable currency that you have. Focus on what you want to focus on. And at the end of the day, your true test of peace is how you operate when things get hard. Okay, you have all these systems, you practice all this stuff, you have all these new mantras. What do you do when life shows up? What do you do when adulting is adulting? Okay, first you want to try to hit the pause button. Sometimes you get overwhelmed by the situation, you got to hit pause. Okay, there is something called the stop method, where you stop, you take a breath, you observe your surroundings, and then you proceed as necessary. That's a great thing for me, because sometimes I'm just going so fast that I'm not making wise choices because I'm constantly just reacting. I'm reacting, not responding. Okay, you don't want a reaction, you want to respond appropriately. So I have to stop, I have to take a breath, I have to look at my surroundings, and then I get to go. Okay, and then think about when you're triggered, it's okay to remove yourself from the situation to respond. Again, you're responding, not reacting. Okay, so if I have to take a step back because you hit up on my boundary wall and it hurt a little bit, I can step back and be like, okay, let me figure out how I want to handle this. okay? It's also important in your true test of managing difficult interactions. I know it seems crazy and hard, but it is possible to engage with draining or confrontational people without absorbing their energy. Because they exist. You're always going to have to talk to those people. You're always going to have to engage with people that aren't your cup of tea, all right? But that's okay, because we talked about you don't have to hold it. They can bring it to the table, they can offer it, but you don't have to accept it. So you can talk to draining people all you want. They're not going to drain you. That's what your boundary is for. You're not going to take my peace, okay? That's something that's really important, okay? You can detach from the need to win or have the last word. If you can break that cycle, then that confrontational person can't cause you drama, can't cause you problems, can't cause you issues. Because you don't need, it's not a fight for you anymore. You've made your statement, you said your piece, and now you're out. And if they want the last word, they can have the last word. If they want to feel like they won, great. I didn't even know we were fighting, but you won, so I'm proud of you. But you don't have to accept that. You don't have to take that on, okay? Our ultimate goal in all of this is to move from mental shoulds, okay? I should do this, I should do that, and end up with choice. I get to choose how I respond. I get to choose what I get to do in my life. Personal peace is the foundation of true freedom. And it is found in the gap between external demand and internal response, okay? There's that little gap between the world is doing something, how do I respond? And in that gap is where you find peace, okay? It's not about avoiding life. It's about fully engaging with it from a place of centered strength, not frantic reaction, okay? I can be strong and I can be courageous and I can handle this, okay? And personal peace isn't something you find. It's what's already there when you stop letting everyone else clutter your mind, okay? Peace is a gift that you don't have to give away. You already have it, okay? It's already inside you. You do not have to give it away. You can protect it and make sure that it's good and it's solid. And then from there, you can make sure you have it as your center so that you're not reacting in a crazy way, okay? You have to stop letting people cover your peace, cluttering your mind. It's the freedom of no longer being a dumping ground for emotions and expectations that you never agreed to hold, all right? So this week, I challenge you to identify one thief of peace. What is one thing in your life that keeps trying to steal the thing that you don't want to give away? And implement a new system that we discussed and decide how much of the external you're really letting inside, okay? So again, thanks for choosing freedom. Thanks for choosing yourself. Thanks for choosing an ability to stand up and have the peace that you require. Remember, the goal isn't perfection, it's progress. Now go out and claim your peace.
Remember, you don't need permission to be great. And this is your call to rise, to reclaim your power, and to step boldly into the life you were meant to live. I believe extraordinary potential lives in all of us. The dreams we've tucked away, the voice that was softened, and the fire that's been waiting to burn bright. This journey isn't about fitting into someone else's mold. It's about shattering expectations and embracing your truest, most unapologetic self. No more shrinking or waiting for permission. The world needs your brilliance, your resilience, and your unique light. It's time to stop asking, am I enough? And start declaring, I am more than enough. Your next chapter begins now. Let's write it with courage, audacity, and unshakable belief in who you are. The unstoppable person isn't born, they're awakened. And that person is you. Now go start your revolution. This world needs your unshaken light today.